Hello my friends, and welcome back to Sweet Magnolias. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you some ideas for things to do when you're just having a bad day. Maybe you're just in a bad mood, woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or maybe you're having a particularly hard day and you just need to do some things to make yourself feel more at home, more comfortable, and just to lift your mood a little bit. These things are things that I do as a stay-at-home homemaker, but they could also apply to you even if you work a job. But one of the first things that I like to do is I like to turn on a show, something from my childhood or something that's an older show that just brings me comfort. And one of those things for me is the Andy Griffith Show. I am from North Carolina. I am only about 45 minutes from Mount Airy. I grew up watching Andy Griffith, and just something about the show, it just reminds me of where I live. And I just love it, and my children actually really enjoyed it as well. This was their first time seeing it. My daughter especially really enjoyed it. But having that on in the background just was very soothing to my heart and just made our home feel extra cozy and special. The next two things have to do with beverages, and it may sound kind of silly, but getting yourself a really nice tumbler and filling it up with something that you like, whether it be water with lemon or iced tea or sparkling water like I'm doing. I've started buying these lime sparkling waters from Aldi, and they're so good. And my grandma, this is something that reminds me of my grandmother. My grandmother had a tumbler that she had gotten at Dollywood years and years ago, and she always used to carry it around and have ice water in it. And so that's something that I feel like I'm at the age where I'm just wanting to do the same thing. And so filling up my pretty tumbler that I got with sparkling water is a very small, very simple thing that brought me a lot of joy this day. And of course, there is no more of a simple pleasure than making yourself a nice cup of coffee. Just the ritual of making your cup of coffee, however you make your coffee. My husband got me an espresso maker this past Christmas, so making my cup of coffee has just been 10 times more enjoyable, and the coffee is just so good. It's so good. I go to bed at night thinking about the coffee that I'm going to have in the morning. Lately, I've been doing either a Americana with a little splash of milk, or I will do a double shot of espresso over ice with milk, like a latte. I haven't been doing sweet in my coffee lately. I like go back and forth. Sometimes I do a white mocha, sometimes I do vanilla, sometimes I do brown sugar. But lately, I've just been really enjoying that bitter taste of coffee. Like I'm addicted to that lately. But there's just something so wonderful and so it's just an at-home comforting feeling to me to have a cup of coffee. I've always felt that way. Even when I used to work, having a cup of coffee just reminded me of home. I would go to the break room and have my cup of coffee in a mug because it just felt like being at home, and that's where I wanted to be. So if you're having a stressful day or a bad day, if you can take a few minutes to sneak away and make yourself whatever your pleasure is. Maybe it's not coffee, maybe it's tea, or maybe you make coffee in a French press, or a coffee maker, or a maca pot. However you make your coffee or tea, whichever one you prefer, if you make yourself a nice cup of something that you can enjoy, and then take a few moments to really enjoy it and relish in it, that will make your day a little bit better, I promise. once you have made your cup of whatever you like, whether that be tea or coffee or what have you, it's always nice to sit down with a magazine or a good book or maybe your journal and do some writing. When I made this video, I had just gotten my new Victoria magazine. My mom gets me a subscription to Victoria magazine every year, and I love it. I always look forward to when I get a new magazine. So I had just gotten a new magazine. Victoria is a beautiful publication. If you love antique things, Victorian interiors, the English countryside, beautiful teacups, all of those beautiful, pretty things, you will love Victoria magazine. And I like to hold on to all the issues that I get and keep them stored away in a cabinet and pull them out every once in a while when I want something pretty to look at while I'm having my tea time break. But you can see in these clips how beautiful this magazine is. I'm a very slow reader these days, but I have been working on 2 books this year. This one, Wife Dressing by Anne Fogarty. She was a costume designer in the 1950s, and she wrote this book all about how to curate your wardrobe as a wife in the 1950s. It's very fun. And then I'm reading this book, The Nesting Place by McQuillan Smith. I actually did just finish this book, and it was really good. If you're interested in seeing a book review on this one, look at my Instagram. I have a book review in my reels. But I really, really enjoyed this book, and I highly recommend it. And then also, of course, if you are a Christian and you read your Bible daily, and if you haven't read it today and you're having a bad day, I recommend going to Proverbs. Proverbs has a chapter for every day of the month. There's 31 chapters in Proverbs, and Proverbs is a wealth of wisdom and very convicting verses. And I feel like it's a wealth of wisdom especially for anybody, but especially for homemakers. So find you a chapter of Proverbs to read for the day. I've also been finding a lot of pleasure lately in arranging flowers, and right now where it's springtime, there is a wealth of flowers growing out in my backyard right now. All of my azaleas are in bloom, so I've been trying to bring a lot of those azalea blooms inside, and I recently was given these little vases, so I decided to make an arrangement in each vase and use them in my living room. sometimes when you're having a rough day, or if you're just feeling restless in general because you've been in the house a lot, sometimes just moving some stuff around and changing a few things up in your house can really just lift your spirits, just to have something different to look at every day and to look at that and think, oh, I like the way that looks. And that's what happened when I started rearranging this desk to include my vases of flowers. Every time I walk by this corner, I think, I really like the way this looks. And it's just different. It's just something different to look at. And it's arranged really pretty. And it just, every time I walk by it, it just lifts my spirits a little bit. Baking for me has always been very therapeutic. I know that after I had my daughter, I went through a bit of a rough postpartum season, and one of the things that really helped me mentally and emotionally was when I was having a particularly overwhelming day. After the kids went to bed, I would bake something. And y'all know I've talked about on here before how I'm not the craziest over cooking, but I actually really do enjoy baking. And baking is just one of those things that's very comforting to me. And so I was baking a lot the year after she was born, baking cookies and pies and cakes and that kind of thing. And in today's video, I'm baking a coffee cake. And this coffee cake I've made multiple times. Every time I make it, we eat it all in like a day or two because it is so good. And this recipe actually comes from that bed and breakfast cookbook that I showed y'all in a previous vlog. If I can find the vlog, I will link it in the description box down below. But this is the cookbook that had that sweet letter taped to the front of it. And the whole cookbook is just beautiful, and each recipe comes from a different bed and breakfast or inn across the United States. And it's an older book, so I don't even know how many of these inns are actually still in business. But I left the recipe there so that you could screenshot it because this is such a good recipe. But this is what I do if I'm having a particularly overwhelming day or stressful day. If I can get some time to bake something, that always makes my day better. And of course, whose day is not made better by a nice warm slice of coffee cake? The recipe actually does not call for an icing, but I like to make an icing for this coffee cake because I just think it gives it a nice crunch and a little extra sweetness if you have an icing on top. So I just mix it up. It's just milk, powdered sugar, and some vanilla extract. Really, really simple. So if you want an icing, you just mix up your own little icing glaze for your coffee cake. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that it has given you some inspiration of things that you can do if you are having a hard day or an overwhelming day or stressful day. I hope that it gives you some ideas on simple ways that you can lift your spirits and make the day better. Or maybe you just need to save the day because the day has been going down the drain fast. These are some simple ways that you can make your day a little bit better, make your family's day a little bit better. So I hope that it's been encouraging to you. If it has, please make sure to like the video. I hope that you will subscribe and stick around for future videos, and I will talk to you guys in my next one.